Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So we went to Hawaii last week and had the most incredible time. I can honestly say that it was the first vacation that we've ever gone on where I was not ready to come home. I was feeling that aloha spirit. I was one with the island. I felt like that is where I belonged and where we belonged as a family. So coming back to these icy temperatures has been a little disheartening. But before we left, I did some packing. So, tips and tricks on how to have an organized and efficient packing session for vacation. Number one, make sure that all of your clothes that you have in your home are washed, organized, and put away. Just fold those clothes up and put them where they belong, because if you are trying to pack your luggage and you have items of clothing that are still dirty or are running through the wash, then I feel like it's already a disconnection that you're having with your packing process, because you're starting to think about the things that are still going through laundry, but you're here looking at the stuff that you're packing, and it's just going to be a big mess. So my number one tip for myself is to make sure that all of our laundry is caught up and cleaned, organized, and folded or hung and just put away nicely in the designated areas. So number two, when we go on vacation, the hardest part about vacation for me is coming home. And when I come home, I just want to come home to a clean and tidy space and have everything organized, because the worst thing you can do is come back from a travel day that may not have gone as planned, which is exactly what happened to us going out to Hawaii this time, and then come home to a disaster. So my number two tip for you is to have your home as clean and organized as possible. For me, this includes washing all of our sheets and putting new bed linens on. I make sure that the dishwasher is completely run and all the dishes are put away. The trash is emptied. All of the bathrooms are clean. And nothing is in the sink. All the kids' toys are put nicely in their places within their rooms or the playroom. The refrigerator is cleaned out and the pantries are tidied. This trip was a little bit different for us because our dryer stopped working the day before we left. So it's been kind of a interesting restart into this week, but we're just gonna go with it. So, number three, figure out what kind of luggage you want to be taking with you. We have 2 large pieces of luggage and a carry-on that we check every single time. I cannot be bothered with taking a carry-on suitcase into the cabin because half the time there's not enough overhead space and I just don't want to fight the crowd. So I check almost all of our luggage except for our backpacks, and I make sure that each of us also has a backpack. So we had 3 pieces of luggage that we checked and then 4 backpacks, and it worked out perfectly. Figure out what kind of luggage you are going to be taking and plan accordingly. Number 4, packing cubes. If you haven't heard of them, then you are missing out, my friend. Packing cubes have changed our life. Now, my mom bought us 2 sets, I believe a few years ago for Christmas, and we have the Begale, I believe is the name, and we got them on Amazon, and they are just these zippable nylon cubes that fold nicely together and can store very simply, that you just can shove all of your clothes into. So my husband and I in the past have shared a set, and then my kids have shared a set, and they just make packing and unpacking a complete breeze. I mean, it takes minutes to do both, and I'm obsessed with that. So the Begale packing cubes, I cannot recommend them enough. I think they were like $25 for a set of I think 5 or 6 cubes come with one set, and they have different types of sets that you can go with. But as you'll see in this playover, it just makes organizing so simple. And I don't know, I cannot say enough good things about the packing cubes. So get yourself some if you're having any troubles being organized when you're packing. So that is, I believe that was number 5. Okay, number 6. And I'm doing this kind of backward, and I probably should have done this one as like my 3rd or maybe even my 1st. Work off of a list. A list will save you so much time and so much energy, like going back and forth and thinking about the things that you've forgotten or running up your flight of stairs 15 times, which is typically what I do. Good old pen and paper works best for me. I know some people are super tech savvy and like to keep lists on their phone, but doesn't matter how you do it. I just believe that a list is a lifesaver. So what we do is I do a list for Charlotte and Bennett, and I keep it on one page, and I itemize each of the items that we are taking. So I do a clothing list for them, and then I do a clothing list for Chris and I. The reason I do both of them on one page and Chris and I on one page is because I'm usually packing their clothing in one suitcase and Chris and I's clothing in one suitcase. So I do Charlotte and Bennett clothing on one, Chris and Catherine clothing on another sheet. I do Charlotte and Bennett toiletries on one, Chris and Catherine toiletries on another sheet. I do Charlotte and Bennett electronics on one, Chris and Catherine electronics on another sheet. I do Charlotte and Bennett miscellaneous on one, Chris and Catherine miscellaneous on another sheet. When doing these lists, yes, a lot of things will be cross-listed, and I completely realize that, but it's a great way for me to double check and make sure that I mark off everything in my list. And I'm telling you, when I make a list, I forget nothing. When I don't make a list and I think that it's all up here, I forget multiple things. So making a list has always been good to me, and I feel like, yes, it takes a little bit of time to write it down, but in the long run, it saves me time, ultimately saves me money because I'm not going out to buy the things that I've forgotten, and it saves me a whole lot of energy and worry. So make a list. Number 6, pack a carry-on. So many times I think about, oh, I can just take my purse, it's fine, it's no big deal. Or, oh, the kids don't really need a carry-on, it's kind of a hassle, they have to wear it on their back. But the truth is, they do. Because A, it gives them something to do, and it keeps them busy because they get to sort through like all of their fun little things in their backpacks. And B, it's less stuff that you have to pack in a bag that would be your carry-on. So I make sure that every person in our family has a carry-on. All the carry-ons look a little bit different though. Chris's carry-on has all of the electronics. This includes both of the kids' tablets, my iPad, his computer, and his tablet. Both of our charging, we have like 2 big mega chargers that can charge, I think, 4 iPad charges before it needs to be charged. So we always carry that with us on an airplane, so that is definitely a recommendation. I'm not going to add it to the list because not everybody has a lot of electronics, but I do think that it's essential for a family that travels with a lot of electronics, have a mega charger because it's a lifesaver and it can charge your phones, just everything. So Chris carries all of our electronics. The reason that he carries the electronics and that we don't divide it up into each of our carry-ons is because when you go through the TSA checkpoints, you have to take all of the electronics out, and I'm not going to do that for my children because I'm already having to take my shoes off and my watch off and my sweater off and having to get myself basically stripped down to my skivvies, and I just don't have the time. So Chris carries all the electronics, and then once we get on the airplane, the kids then get their tablets, which works out perfectly. So Chris, electronics. Here's my carry-on, Bennett's and Charlotte's. Chris is in charge of his own carry-on because that's just too many electronics for me to handle. So in my carry-on, I have my clothes that I'll be wearing first thing in the morning. Whatever we go to the hotel in tonight is what I'm going to sleep in. And then when I wake up, I will take a shower and then just put on my change of clothing in here. And I also have my shoes. I hold so many things in my carry-on, so I'm gonna come back to this. Bennett's and Charlotte's, they both have, let's see. They both have a set of pajamas, which I'll wear tonight, a pair of socks, undies, and then a change of clothing for tomorrow. I like to take them in these plastic bags because if we find uses for them on vacation, it's really nice to shove things in, and it's great to put dirty clothes in as well. So they both have those, and they're gonna wear their tennis shoes tomorrow. Also in their backpacks, they have their headsets both in the front pocket for their tablets, and empty water bottles on either side. We usually fill those up once we get into the terminal, and then they'll both have a tablet, but they don't get those until after TSA because we have to take everything out, and it's easier to take it all out of Chris's computer bag than to take it out of each individual bag. They both have a hat in here because where we're going is going to be very warm and sunny, and I also like to dress them the same, so they have matching shirts on. I know that's weird, but that's who I am. And then we basically just fill their bags with snacks and activities. So any packaged snacks go in there, and basically things that can just help us get through the day. Also, they each get a very small blanket in both of their backpacks, especially on a long flight, because we usually use the blanket that is provided on the airplane as a pillow, and then they get to have their blankie to cover up with. So it all works out. My carry-on consists of everything else. So I usually have a change of clothing for me as well. If we're staying at a hotel the night before getting on a flight, I usually just wear whatever I'm going to sleep in to the hotel, and then I change into whatever I've packed in my backpack for the flight. So that is usually a layered look. I got some leggings, typically a tank top, and a sweater for when I'm cold. I usually always wear my tennis shoes because they make you take your shoes off at TSA checkpoint, and I like to have socks on because they don't make you take your socks off. Also, tennis shoes are just like the bulkiest shoe that I have, so it's nice to have them on and not have them in my suitcase because they take up a whole lot of room. I always have baby wipes for the kids. I have a water bottle as well that's empty for me, and then I have just random things. I try to pack a small toothpaste and deodorant just in case. You never know if your luggage is going to get lost, or if you just have a real good sweat sesh like we did on the way to Hawaii, because it was like the scene from Home Alone trying to catch our connecting flight, which we missed. So that would have been a very sad day if I would have had my deodorant on me. I have gum for the flight, my phone obviously, and then also a lot of the games that the kids cannot put in their backpack, I will put in mine, as well as a blanket because I always just want a blanket. And I don't take a purse with me when we go on vacation. I just take my clutch. So I take my clutch and shove it in there, and just random little things, some snacks, and I take a small sunblock, especially for going someplace warm, because if we get separated from our luggage, I'll at least have something to not fry our skin. And I think that's really about it. I try and get a book in there once in a while if I have the chance. Alright guys, that is basically it. So I have my tips and tricks on what really helps me keep it together when I'm packing up this family of 4 for a trip away or a vacation, and I have to tell you that when I stick to these tips, then I feel like I am my best self on vacation, and it helps me so much. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are apprehensive about traveling with your family, even if it's a road trip, I just have to tell you, from my experience, as stressful and chaotic and crazy as it can be, it is so worth it. The experience is worth it. I mean, we had the worst travel day this last vacation to Hawaii, to the point where I was like, this is madness. Like, who does this? But the kids were magnificent. And once we got there, it all just worked out, and we were able to just take a breath and drink a beer and, you know, enjoy that beautiful state that I never thought that I was ever going to get to go to. And I loved every minute of it. I love the stressful part of it. It's a story that I get to tell, and I think that I am so, so grateful that I get to do these, you know, fun adventures with my family, and I just hope that by me sharing what helps me, it's doing you all a service and maybe helping you plan your next family vacation, or how to pack your bags, or get yourself organized, or just take that leap of faith, because it's awesome. And traveling with families, there's just nothing better. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you guys tune in to my next video, and my next video, and my next video. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, because it really helps my channel out, and I just love, love, love doing these videos. So, hope you guys have a great day, and aloha. Love you guys. Mwah.